Hey, welcome back to Innovate Africa. Kino with you. And remember, this show is all about speaking to the founders behind innovative businesses that impact the African continent. And a lot of them go further than that, they impact the world. Now, how many times have we actually spoke about legal tech, or at least technology that assists the legal fraternity? Well, today, this is probably the second time we're talking about the legal fraternity. We need to do more of that. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the founder of SlataDoc. You'll find out more about it. Her name is Liou. Thank you very much, May, for joining us. Great having you on Innovate Africa.
Good morning, Kino. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you have a fascinating background. We'll get into all of that. But first things first, just setting the scene. When I ask you what SlataDoc is and which problem you solve, what will you say to that?
So we're in the business of solving legal translation. We provide premium AI translations to lawyers in the format that they want and within their native work environment.
So we'll dig into that because I think you've given a great summary of what you do, but I think it's worthwhile to actually dig into that a lot deeper so that people can understand the nuances around what you're offering. Right. So you didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, right? Most of us start our lives doing what we do. We go on our journeys. It's either corporate, in my case, radio. And after a couple of years, you go, okay, I think I need to do something else. So just take us, or at least give us an insight into your journey that essentially led you to launching SlataDoc.
Mm. So yes, a lot of my background led to me building SlataDoc and to where we are today. I think, I am a Liberian-born Taiwanese South African, so I've always had to deal with language problems. Then, as a kid, we had to flee Liberia during its civil war and start over in South Africa. So I understand, the hardships that my parents had to go through to give me the opportunities that I have today. And then I went on to have a very successful 20-year career in asset management, 14 of which was spent at Future Growth doing impact investment, doing deals that really made a difference in people's lives. And this culminated in me trying to tackle this problem of access to justice and to reduce the inequalities that we have between the developed and the less developing countries or communities. But what really sort of launched me into um, my journey into startup life was a personal tragedy. My husband died 9 years ago, and I very naively thought that I could pick up his startup idea and run with it. Right now, the only thing that's left of his original idea is the Slater part of SlataDoc. So there is some sentimental part to the business. Yeah.
Let's talk about the evolution, right? His initial idea
Mhm.
to where you are today. I always love evolution. Businesses need to understand that you start out with one idea.
Mhm.
It very rarely ends up exactly what you envisioned initially. So take us a little through that
Mm.
evolution.
Yeah. So his original idea was actually to solve the problem of translating websites, but not Google Translate. The human impact of working together with a team. Let's say you're Coca-Cola and you need to have very specific language in different areas. You can't just take Google Translate. You have to get humans involved in there. But the process of doing that involved working with human translators and with the marketing department and with the tech department, lots of files
Right.
back and forth. And that was the problem that he was solving. And I think he would have been really successful if he had launched it back then.
Mhm.
But by the time that I had picked it up, timing is so important
Yes.
when you're doing a startup. You need to be at the right time solving the right problem. And so when I had picked it up, the market had moved. There had already been lots of big players in play already. And that's when I pivoted. When I happened to be in the country of Georgia. I was trying to set up my company, and my lawyers required bilingual legal documents, side by side, English and Georgian. And it cost an arm and a leg, and they had to hurt their heads with the formatting. And my lawyer begged me to actually solve this problem and pivot into legal translation.
Right. So you worked in the sort of asset management space, impact. I mean, that obviously, I'm just repeating what you said earlier, though, but that impacted the way you see life, what you want to solve for. You now have this issue, your lawyer tells you to solve it, but you've got no legal background. Did you have any AI background at all? I mean, are you an LLM specialist? Because that's the thing, right? A lot of people believe they can't do something because they don't really have experience in that. And how did that pan out for you?
So while I'm not a lawyer, I have read billions of rands worth of legal transactions in
Right.
my life as a credit analyst at Future Growth. And so I had a lot of experience reading legal documents and experience understanding how lawyers deal with documents and the pain that they go through. In terms of AI, no. AI, ChatGPT only really started a few years ago. Um, and I luckily have a great tech partner who deals with the AI side of things. And I think that's the other thing to point out is that in a startup, to be successful, you really need to build the right team, because you can't have one person who is the specialist in everything. You need to find complementary skills and not just business skills or work skills, but personal skills too. You
Well,
need to get along. You need to get along with each other. So I'm lucky that I have that.
in that partnership, where do you place yourself?
Well, I'm the CEO and founder initially, but I brought on a co-founder who is based in Boston,
Right.
has 20 years experience, was at Oracle, and took that business from losing customers to getting acquired.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very lucky to have that as a partner.
I think my point was really, you are the people person. You, the networker, the connector.
Ah,
That's what I'm picking up whenever whenever I speak to you, right? So you're the person that looks at the high level at the business, understands the needs, and then you do the translation of that to your technical co-founder.
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm out there talking to as many people as I can to understand really the problem deeply so that we can solve it elegantly.
So let's look at Africa. This is called Innovate Africa. We chat to innovative businesses, as I said before, that impact the African continent. How do you see SlataDoc
Mhm.
actually impacting Africa?
Mm. So perhaps an example would be the easiest way to highlight the inequalities between some African players and the European players, for example. So, in the finance example, you have a cocoa farmer somewhere growing cocoa, and they need to somehow interact with the Cadburys or the law firms that represent those companies who are based in London, for example. Now, a single page of translation from a human translator costs on average about $40 per page. That's 700
It's a
Rand.
lot of money. Yeah.
Okay. And so what happens is that the um, the provider of the finance, which is, the someone in the developed world, would hire the lawyers, and then the borrower actually pays for those legal fees. Okay.
Okay.
And where AI is coming and the quality of AI,
Right.
it just doesn't make sense that we're still paying $40 per page when the bilingual lawyer has to review the document itself anyway.
There's a business in South Africa. We've interviewed them on the show before,
Mm.
Botlale AI, and what they do is they use large language models
Huh?
to help corporates communicate with their customers in their mother tongue. Do you see SlataDoc at some stage being the vehicle for, because contractual relationships
Mhm.
can sink people, and if it's not your first language, you don't understand it, right? And you could be signing something you don't really understand. Do you potentially see SlataDoc filling that gap eventually one day?
That's 100% the problem that we're solving.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I
ordinary people. I'm not talking about lawyers. So you've got lawyers wanting bilingual documentation, right? So they can get things done more effectively.
Mhm.
It's about productivity.
Right.
I'm talking about a contract written up or drawn up by a lawyer, given to a layperson
Mm.
who then needs to understand it.
Um, there's a little bit of risk in that,
Sure.
and I think to actually understand the problem properly,
Mm.
I just need to give you a little bit of background
100%.
of the problem that we're solving. Okay.
Right.
So, when you have bilingual documents, you typically have a bilingual lawyer dealing with it.
Mhm.
All right. And they can get translations either from a human translator
Sure.
or online, say from ChatGPT. The problem with that is I've mentioned, one page can cost $40 per page, and it will take a few days for the translation to come back. It's obviously a lot cheaper and a lot faster when you use online ChatGPT, but you have the problem of hallucination.
Correct.
All right. And you have a problem of having to then copy and paste that text into your document.
Right.
And the key thing here, Kino, is that the bilingual lawyer, regardless of where they get the translation from, always has to review it, okay, to ensure that the legal nuance is there. Because even the human translator, they're not lawyers and they might miss that legal nuance.
Makes sense.
Okay. And, we're solving this problem by providing like premium AI, like in the format that the lawyers want, so that they can focus on what they're good at. It's going straight into the review instead of making sure that the numbering is side by side is correct,
Yeah.
instead of copying and pasting. So the lawyers can focus on exactly what they're focused on,
Makes a
the
lot of
review.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're also building sort of translation memory to make that faster for the lawyer in the future. And this is what ties back to where I say it's risky,
Mhm.
right? Because the nuances, the AI is not quite there yet. And it would be risky for a layperson to just sign a document that is being translated, using
Yes.
AI. So I would caution about
Fair enough.
that, and maybe we will get there at some point. But typically speaking, a bilingual document will have a language that takes precedence. If it's in English and French, for example,
Right.
there will be a clause that says if there is a conflict between the two languages, the English one will take precedence, or the French one will take precedence.
Okay.
So if you're a layperson and you're signing a document that's bilingual,
Fair enough. Yeah.
you just have to be very careful.
Wow. But I'm glad you've expanded on that, because a lot of people think, oh, it's just a translation thing like ChatGPT. I mean, no one has ever built a successful business doing exactly what ChatGPT or DeepSeek or anything else does, right? You need to, especially if you've got a niche,
Mhm.
you need to understand the nuances, as you pointed out, of that particular niche, the nuance of the problem, and be able to solve for that. And in this case, if I get it right, I'm just trying to make sure that we understand this correctly. The nuance is making sure that the spirit of the one contract is translated into another language, but that spirit and intent
Mhm.
is exactly the same.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, but it requires a human bilingual lawyer to do that extra part. Yeah.
Because
We can't get rid of lawyers.
but
Quite yet.
this is the thing. A lot of people think that their jobs are going to be taken by AI, and that
No.
that will happen in certain circumstances where companies don't train up staff, Because when you introduce artificial intelligence, it's a change management process which needs to take place in a corporate, for example. But what I'm liking about this is, and I think you demonstrate it so beautifully, this is the example of where human computer systems are essential. They're also essential when you're doing things like cybersecurity, because only the human being will be able to understand the nuance of the challenge once it arises. The AI can spot that there's an anomaly,
Yeah.
right? But someone needs to analyze that. And I think that's a very important point to drive home, that AI, together with human beings, creates stronger products.
Yes. Yes.
Once the one knows exactly what they're good at, and they understand what the computer is very good at, which is computational statistics, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially what it is. What was the hardest part about building this?
I would say the hardest part is startup life. It's very different to a traditional business role, where you have a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I think back to my days working as a credit analyst or a portfolio manager, and I think, wow, how lucky was I that I didn't have to go to sleep and think about my startup and wake up thinking about my startup, worrying about funds, worrying about staff, worrying if you're doing the right thing, worrying about everything, trying to be a jack of all trades instead of a specialist in exactly what you know as a portfolio manager, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And-
I'm now the tea lady, uh, and the cleaning staff, as well as the marketing and the sales manager.
It's humbling, but your time is your own.
Yes, that is true.
Obviously, you give a lot of it to the business, but
Yes.
you don't have to tell someone I'm taking leave. In my case, I have a 8-year-old, for example, and I can go and fetch him at school, and that fills my cup, and that
Yeah.
allows me to push forward
Yes.
even longer in our businesses. So
Yeah.
that is absolutely fascinating. So, taking what you've learned thus far, right, in the startup journey of yours, what are some of the key bits of advice you could give founders just starting their journey right now? Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, they believe that they can save the world. What type of advice would you share, just based on your own experience?
Don't do it.
Oh, that is so true. I probably would say the same thing.
Startup life is you need a lot of grit, a lot of determination, um, maybe a little bit of craziness, a lot of passion.
Yes.
Um, I think you need to ask the right questions and to solve the right problems.
Similar in closing, support, funding. I take it like every other founder, you're looking for these.
Yes, we currently are raising funding, but we're also looking to build and partner with companies and NGOs who experience this pain. And obviously, with my background, anyone who's doing something with an impact flavor,
Yeah.
I'll go the extra mile to make sure that deal happens.
How do they get hold of you?
You can email me or phone me. We will provide the details.
So my email address is going to be at the end of this. Just mail me directly and I'll put you in touch. Thank you once again for tuning in to Innovate Africa. Another great founder delivering impact not just in Africa, but globally. And remember the sage advice. If you're going to do entrepreneurship, you need to figure out where you want to practice it, either in your own business or in a corporate, because it can work there. And trust me, a lot of them need it. I'll see you on Innovate Africa next week.